Hey Star Trek fans, Dan Gunther here. Welcome back to The Week in Trek. We're in the countdown to Season 5 of Star Trek Discovery. In only a little over 3 short weeks, Captain Michael Burnham and the crew of Discovery will be back on our television screens with their final adventures. But in the meantime, there is plenty happening in the rest of the Star Trek universe to keep us busy, so let's take a look back at the past week's Star Trek news and look ahead at what's coming up in the next week.
You're the captain of the most important space station in the entire Federation. Your news.
Star Trek's most recent live-action incarnations have been racking up the award nominations and wins lately, especially with Star Trek Picard's incredible showing at the recent Saturn Awards. Well, the next round of nominations have come in, this time for the 4th annual Critics' Choice Super Awards. A total of 8 nominations have been announced for Star Trek for 2024. In the category of Best Science Fiction/Fantasy Series, Limited Series, or Made-for-TV Movie, both Season 3 of Star Trek Picard and Season 2 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds have been nominated. Definitely some tough contenders in this category though, as they will be facing Ahsoka, American-Born Chinese, Black Mirror Joan is Awful, the Doctor Who 60th Anniversary Specials, For All Mankind, and Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. Star Trek boasts 3 nominations in the category of Best Actor in a Science Fiction Fantasy Series. Sir Patrick Stewart and Todd Stashwick are both nominated for Picard, while Anson Mount got a nomination for Strange New Worlds. Their competition in this category includes Ncuti Gatwa for the Doctor Who 60th Anniversary Specials, Gerald Jerome for I'm a Virgo, and Kurt Russell for Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. Jerry Ryan and Celia Rose Gooding both garnered nominations in the category of Best Actress in a Science Fiction Fantasy Series. Their competition includes another Trek alumni, although not for her role in Discovery. Michelle Yeoh is nominated for American-Born Chinese, along with Rosario Dawson for Ahsoka, Betty Gilpin for Mrs. Davis, and Annie Murphy for Black Mirror Joan is Awful. And finally, the scenery-chewing Amanda Plummer is nominated for her role in Picard as Vadic in the category of Best Villain in a Science Fiction Fantasy Series. She's facing Carla Gugino for The Fall of the House of Usher, Neil Patrick Harris for the Doctor Who 60th Anniversary Specials, Melanie Linsky for The Last of Us, Mary McDonnell for The Fall of the House of Usher, and Lars Mikkelsen for Ahsoka. The awards will be announced on Thursday, April 4th, the same day that Discovery's 5th season premieres. We'll bring you any news of Trek wins then. Creation Entertainment's Trek to San Francisco convention just took place over the past weekend at the Hyatt Regency in Burlingame, California. The event featured 32 guests from across the Star Trek universe, from TNG, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, Picard, and Lower Decks. I unfortunately was unable to make the event, but it looks like an amazing time was had by all. The Trek to San Francisco marks a shift in Creation's approach to Star Trek conventions. Many years ago, they boasted dozens of Star Trek cons across the US, but in recent years, the focus has been on the one big convention held every summer in Las Vegas. However, the company apparently aims to once again bring more events to new locations, ushering in a new era of smaller regional events in addition to the big Las Vegas convention. According to Creation co-founder Gary Berman, the eventual goal is to roll out a whole Star Trek convention tour with 12 shows a year, like they do for other properties such as Supernatural. Next up, Chicago. Originally slated for an October date, the next Creation Trek convention, besides Las Vegas of course, is set to take place in the Windy City. However, due to schedule conflicts with some of the celebrities, that date has been moved. We will bring you more information on this channel when we know more. In the meantime, I'd like to hear from you. How do you feel about more Star Trek conventions at more locations around the US? Let me know in the comments where you would like to see a Creation Star Trek convention happen. As the years go by and the Star Trek franchise becomes older and older, more and more anniversaries pop up to be celebrated, and 2024 is no exception. This year is the 40th anniversary of a classic Trek film, Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. With the recent 4K remasters of the classic Trek films, Paramount Home Entertainment saw an opportunity to re-release the third Trek film in an attractive new Steelbook offering. Slated for a May 28th release, the new Steelbook edition features the remastered edition of The Search for Spock on 4K and Blu-ray discs. The packaging is gorgeous, with the cover showing the Star Trek III teaser poster, the interior showcasing the return of Enterprise to space dock early in the film, while the back of the case features the heartbreaking moment when Kirk and his crew watch the Enterprise burn up over the Genesis planet. There's also a special edition exclusive to Walmart, featuring a mini Star Trek III theatrical poster and a booklet that features the teaser poster. Again, the Steelbook will be released on May 28th, with pre-orders available soon. Links in the description. And in a final piece of Trek merch news, soon you can have your own personal bone-drinking monster. The Mopsie, from the Season 4 Lower Decks episode I Have No Bones Yet I Must Flee, is now on the way from Master Replicas. Priced at $24.99, the plush toy measures 10 by 5.5 inches. I don't know if I'd risk the loss of all my bones to this little monster, but it's pretty cute. Might be worth the risk.
Are you taking all these books?
I thought I'd take some light reading, in case I got bored.
Ulysses by James Joyce? Ethics, Sophistry, and the Alternate Universe? Ving Kuda? You call that light reading?
To each his own, number one.
A couple of new additions to your Trek library to keep an eye out for this week. First up is a hardcover omnibus edition of Star Trek Day of Blood from IDW Comics. Collecting the entire Day of Blood event from the current comic continuity, this book includes the individual issues Star Trek Day of Blood, Shax's Best Day, the 2023 Free Comic Book Day issue, as well as the ongoing Star Trek issues number 11 to 12, and Star Trek Defiant issues 6 to 7. Together, they tell the story that wraps up the major plot lines for the first part of both the Star Trek and Star Trek Defiant comic series. Here's the synopsis. As Emperor of the Klingon Empire, Kahless II has consolidated power, raided ancient tombs and secret bunkers, taken the power of gods for himself, stolen the Bajoran Orb of Destruction, and has begun a slaughter across the stars. But this genocide of gods was just the beginning. For the power he has stolen, Kahless is about to declare war on all those who do not follow the Red Path. To prevent genocide unlike any since the ancient days of Kronos, the crew of Icons led by the emissary known as Benjamin Sisko and the renegades who follow a desperate and violent Worf must unite for a common cause. Only they can hope to stop the Day of Blood. The hardcover comes out this Tuesday, March 12th, and as always, links are in the description if you'd like to pick this one up for yourself. On Wednesday, March 13th, the first issue of a new 4-issue miniseries set in the same continuity is released, Sons of Star Trek No. 1. Here's the synopsis, and a warning, spoilers for the current comic run and for Day of Blood. From the mighty pen of acclaimed cyborg writer Morgan Hampton comes a new 4-part miniseries spinning out of IDW's Eisner-nominated Star Trek series and fan favorite Star Trek Defiant series. In the aftermath of Kahless's harrowing Day of Blood, Jake Sisko struggles to find his place in the universe now that his family has been reunited and his father, Benjamin Sisko, has once again saved the galaxy. Meanwhile, Alexander Roshenko is recovering mentally and emotionally from his time as one of Kahless's devout followers. Although his father, Worf, was able to break him away from the Red Path cult, Alexander is haunted by his actions during the bloody coup and is unsure of his ability to atone for the devastation he caused. Jake and Alexander find their stories intertwined as they're thrust into an alternate universe where they followed their father's footsteps into Starfleet stardom. As officers aboard the USS Avery, Jake and Alexander encounter alternate versions of other children of Starfleet legends who show them they all may have a bit more in common than it would seem. Sons of Star Trek is written by Morgan Hampton with art by Angel Hernandez and is available for purchase on Wednesday, March 13th. Well, that's all we have for this week in Trek. Thanks, of course, to the Patreon supporters of the channel, as well as to you for watching. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time for another week in Trek. Until then, as always, live long and prosper.